Alright, welcome back. This lecture will be on 10.10 from the book, so let's go into that. It's asking us to come up with a queue. And again, I am going to design the code first, put that design into a UML structure design, and then put that into code. So let's go ahead and let me just write down some of the things it's asking for. One is an array called elements. Another one is size. Another one, this is going to be a private. Well, let me just put this on the same line. And it's set to 8. So here's our constructor. Inside the constructor, we're going to make elements equal to the size of the default. So this is new elements. I'm sorry, new int with default capacity as its size. And size equals default capacity. Now we go into our methods. First one is enqueue. So that's going to add elements. The dequeue takes away the elements. And we have empty, which returns a boolean. And the last one is a get size, which returns an int. Alright, so now I'm going to take this and put this into a UML structure design. So not too much to put here. Make sure I spell that guy right. Q. There we go. And this returns an int. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Okay. An empty, and the final one is a get size. Alright, so let's go to Notepad and create our queue class. So the constructor, before I get to the constructor, let me do the members. The members are private, so I'm gonna put my my constant first. Okay, it's not a requirement. It's just a good standard to have to put to separate your final members or your finals, the things that are constant, from your members. Things that can change is a really good idea to separate these guys. These are final. I'll just put constants. And then here are my members. Now, as you can see, I do not do initialization for my regular members unless I'm inside a method. It's just something I do that I've learned from industry, unless I'm required to do so, and I haven't found an assignment yet in this book which has required me to do so. So I will do this in a constructor. New int. Okay. And I'm gonna just leave them there for now. Let me just check my design. Alright, so the easier methods, these two methods will have a lot of stuff in it. So let me go to my easier methods. The empty. Now the book specifies an empty method. I think it's better practice to have your methods as worded so that it starts with a verb. So I would prefer is empty, but because the book specified empty, I'm going to just stick with that. And I'm going to do a shorthand notation here. This is going to return true if size is 0, otherwise returns false. And the last one is get size. He returns an int. And he's going to return my size. Okay. Let me just save them now before I get too far ahead of myself. Alright, let's return to the adding elements to the queue and taking away the elements from the queue. And I believe the book specified this is a first in, first out. So I put I'm taking my value and making them equal to what was I'm sorry, I'm doing this in the wrong method. This needs to be here. Alright, so let's do this guy first. I'm taking element out of the queue, and I take the one that was stored first. So element number 0. Now I got to shift everything from the right to the left. So I'm going to create a new array, make them equal to my element size. Dot length -1. I'm going to do array copy. This was introduced in chapter 7, I believe. And I'll explain that in a second. So what this does, it takes what's in elements starting at this index, so in this case the first index, and it's going to copy it into elements. I'm sorry, this should be temp. I am missing one. It's going to copy him into temp, and this is how many elements get copied into temp. Okay, so, and this needs to be a big S. Okay. Alright, so let me explain this once again. So line 25, I'm just, now again, the purpose of this method is to take the element that was stored first, return him, and then shift everything to the right. So this line code assigns value, which I'm going to return, to the first element stored. These lines of code will copy the well, the goal is to shift the elements to the right, shift remaining elements to the right. It does that by creating a temp array of the same size -1, because I've already taken the 0th element out. Then I do a copy, and then I set elements to what the new guy is. Alright, so that is how we take an element out, and then let's write the code that adds the element. So, and this is defined in your in the problem. Now in the book says if the size, if the new guy, if I want to put a new one in that's beyond the original capacity, in this case 8, then I have to double that length. So anytime I want to put something new in and I've already exceeded, or that new one will exceed the current size of my array, I'll just double the length of the array. That's just specified by the book. You don't have to do that in most, in other cases. For this particular assignment, you're required to do that. And these lines of code will do that for us. The next thing is just to make an array copy now. I'm going to copy this guy. In this case, I want the entire array this time. And I'm going to set elements to what I just copied. Okay, so this happens when current size, well, when adding a new element will exceed the current bound of the array. Otherwise, all I have to do is just do a simple add. And I'm going to do this either way. Okay, so what goes on in if block is just if my adding this element increases the size, I got to make sure, or goes beyond the array, that will give me a runtime error. So what I need to do is make that guy double his length, and I do that by creating a temp array that doubles the length, and then copy what's in elements, put them into temp, and then set elements to now temp. And then once all that's done, if I have to do that, regardless if I do it or not, I'm going to just say elements and then increment the size equals value. So that will be the entire code needed for this Q class. Now all you need is just a main class that calls them. And let me just compile him just to make sure there are no errors. Missing a comma somewhere, or semicolon. Missing a symbol now. Alright, so that will complete this video. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me.